Jennings has been writing about cars for more than 30 years, after stints as a taxicab driver and as a mechanic in the Chrysler Proving Grounds Impact Lab. She was a staff writer at Car and Driver magazine, the first executive editor and former president and editor-in-chief of Automobile magazine, the founder of the blog Jean Knows Cars and former automotive correspondent for Good Morning America. She has lifetime awards from both the Motor Press Guild and the New England Motor Press Association. Look for more vile gossip columns in the future. The new 2018 Jeep Wrangler's model designation is JL, my original initials, as in Jean Lienert. Don't Google that. You'll find I died in 2014 in Pittsburgh at age 85. I take this JL thing as a sign from God that I am supposed to finally buy a new Wrangler, the very first car of my dreams, when my dreams included saving $25,000 and living off the grid in a one-room log cabin with all of my cast iron pots and pans. I did live in a tiny log cabin once, but when I discovered there was no line for phone, fax and printer, I trudged down the dirt road a half-mile, knocked on a stranger's door and borrowed their phone to call AT&T. So much for living off the grid. And so much for the Wrangler. I bought a truck, which was useful, but it was not a Jeep, a fact confirmed when I landed a job writing about cars. Among the Porsches and Fords and Ferraris and Dodge Power Wagons were Jeep Wranglers. Wranglers meant adventure. Here are two favorites. 1981, delivering the pig of bronze, Car and Driver's over-accessorized 1978 Project Jeep CJ7, named for its chrome hood ornament. To the police chief of rural Waterloo, Nebraska. He got it because he wrote the editor a letter asking for it. It was my assignment to drive it there. I plotted as many miles of dirt roads as possible between Michigan and Nebraska, not wanting to waste my first big Jeep adventure on pavement and never questioning the ability of this denim-trimmed orange Jeep and its aftermarket aluminum wheels to get us there. So naive. Somewhere in deepest Iowa, with the windshield flipped down to the hood for maximum coolness, the pig's rear end began to shudder. As we rolled to a stop, the photographer looked back in time to see one of the 5 fancy extra-long chrome lug nuts plop into the dust. 2 others had vanished. The last 2 had backed off to the ends of their studs. We had no choice but to trudge down the dirt road a mile, where we found the missing nuts shining in the dust. The second time the wheel wobbled, we limped to a gas station, where we were mocked for the fancy wheels and their worn stud holes, then charged $1 to have them shim tight. The pig made it through the handoff ceremony at the local fair but was totally disabled in the Holiday Inn parking lot with a locked-up emergency brake by the time we left. This did nothing to dampen the excitement of the police chief. He let me drive his patrol car at 100 miles per hour and blow the siren. It was not the Jeep's fault. 1995, entering the Jeepers Jamboree and driving the Rubicon Trail in Northern California from start to finish. The most terrifying, exciting, technical driving I've ever experienced was the 7 hours it took me to negotiate about 9 miles of the Rubicon Trail. The main components included squeezing between rocks and trees, both immovable, crawling up and over the granite slab, rock as far as you can see, marked by a trail of differential fluid, straddling the little sluice box, a slot in the rocks piled with more rocks, and doing it again at the big sluice box, a downhill horror of a rock chasm leading to the safety of camp. It helped to be a guest of Jeep, complete with a prepared 1995 with a new 4.0-liter 6-cylinder engine and attending mechanics. But I had to drive that brutal rock pile myself and finish my quest by negotiating the big sluice box while it was lined on both sides by cheering, or jeering, Jeepers who'd finished and were well into the booth. I could barely breathe. This only intensified my need for a Wrangler.